Okay, here we go. Doing a video here. I am trying this camera out here for the second time. So to give you some background, this is the Hasselblad X2D100. This is apparently going to be replaced soon. I am trying this out. So far, cut to the chase, I like it, and I did not like it the first go around. I borrowed the Hasselblad with the 80 1.9 portrait lens, really great lens. And then the 40, I think the 40 or 45p, that's a really, really small lens from their P line, which is a good lens, really small. Those are okay. I wasn't overly impressed. Loved the feel of the camera. Yeah, the images were okay. I think the timing was horrible for me. I think when I borrowed that camera, I submitted the order in a couple of weeks prior. I ended up getting sick. The rain was horrible. The opportunities I thought I was going to have to use it, I didn't have. So maybe that was just the timing was bad. But now that I'm trying this camera out with the 55, the XCD 55V, and the 38, I also borrowed specifically for one portrait shoot in studio the 90V. So I had an opportunity to try all three of the V lenses. Totally different experience with those lenses as opposed to my experience I had, which again probably was limited. Really like the camera for a specific use. This is pretty much a camera that I would use for myself, for a landscape, and then also as I kind of found in a studio portrait shoot. And I'm going to share the images from that. And that was the first shoot, first shoot at all with this camera and with my existing lights, Profoto lights, and just got the small little puck Profoto Nikon trigger on this thing. Usually when you have a new camera, especially if you're doing flash, there's some learning curve. The images I got and the ease of shooting with the Hasselblad far exceeded my expectations. So my first concerns obviously was autofocus. Am I going to be able to focus this thing? And I was scared because I also had my Leica with me, the SL3 S. Obviously, I'm very comfortable with that camera. I have that as a backup. I was enjoying the images I was getting out of the Hasselblad so much that I did not pick up the Leica. And the shoot was in such a flow that, and at the back of my mind as I'm going further along in this shoot, I'm like, oh my God, are these going to be in focus? Are these going to be sharp? Like, should I start reaching for the Leica to at least get some shots? And as a further went along, I didn't want to ruin the flow. And I didn't. I ended up switching around between the 55, the 38V, and the 90V for different shots during the shoot. But I never reached for the Leica. And I was kind of scared. Now, what made me feel really comfortable, and another pleasant surprise, which I have been hearing from people, was I had my iPad set up, and through the Hasselblad the Focus app, I wirelessly tethered. As a comparison, I do the same thing with the Leica Photos app when I'm on the Leica and I'm doing studio shots. I will just have that up wirelessly. Wireless works okay. There's a little bit of a lag, and that's even with the 60 megapixel files of the SL3. And with the 24, not so much of a lag. And then when I plug it in through USB-C, obviously there's no lag, and you can still use that same app, or if you prefer to use Capture One or Lightroom, you have that option with the Leica. Obviously, you don't have the Capture One option with the Hasselblads. You do in Lightroom. In this case, I was using the Hasselblad, the Focus app, and that was unbelievable. literally, it was, the images were coming and loading up onto the iPad so quick. I was blown away. The ease of use, the ease of connecting that thing, first time using the app, everything was amazing. Even the client I was shooting commented like, "Oh, this is great," you know, because sometimes I don't tether, and it's a, I won't say our friend slash client. We've shot before, so she really enjoyed that aspect of it. And it's a significant improvement. And the fact that these are 100 megapixel files and the images were coming across wirelessly tethered with the iPad and how easy it was to do it, that was huge. So once I actually got the images, got home, and was taking a look, even though they did look sharp on the iPad, as you guys know, us photographers, we want to we want to make sure. And it wasn't until I got those in and I started going through, did I hit 100%? No, because again, part of it was user error. I did not have the right, and I want to do another studio shoot with this camera again and see if there's a difference. I did not have the right settings. So this is user error, not the camera. I did not have the right settings when it comes to the exposure preview on the camera. So specifically with flash, you should have a different setting, and I didn't do that. So it was a little bit harder to focus. And what I was seeing was the actual real exposure based upon my shutter speed, and I was shooting manual, obviously. So it's a little harder to focus in certain situations, only because I was using the wrong preview. So I'm assuming that if I did that correctly, it would be better. Either way, I was really impressed. Almost everything was in focus. And the one thing that really impressed me is that when things were in focus, the eye was super sharp. I either missed focus, again, because it was probably user error, or the eye was absolutely tack sharp. And this does not have eye autofocus. It's just face detect, or face detection. And you get that box around the face. And it was super sharp on the eye for all three lenses, for most of the shots. So that was, I was kind of blown away. I was blown away on that. I was blown away with the colors straight out of camera. How easy it was to shoot this camera with flash, especially for the first time. Automatically recognize the trigger. Put the white balance to flash, which I don't normally do, but again, I wanted to see what the camera does. You can always adjust the settings. It was at 5500, so I kept it there. I liked the way it looked, and it was amazing. Colors right out of there, the just amazing. I don't know what it is. I have never done a studio shoot and had so little editing or processing that needed to be done with the images. I was trying to keep cool and calm and be like nonchalant when I was seeing the images come through in the iPad. Like, it was like, wow, that looks good. I mean, it was a good shoot, don't get me wrong. It was a good model. We were flowing. It was great. But just right out of camera, it was pretty impressive. Now, I'm hesitant to make this video, okay, because I'm not getting rid of my Leica gear. I love my Leica cameras. I'm very happy with them. I got my Leica Q and my Leica SL system, especially the SL3S now. I feel like I don't really need to have my Canon equipment. So that's since been traded in, right? And so, my Leica M, I'm beginning to find that I'm just not using that camera as much. I use the Q. And I know that's crazy. As you're a Leica shooter, and this is not for everyone, some people, the Leica M is a great camera, and there's some romance about it, something I love. I want to always have an M, but I think at this stage in my life, the M with manual focus, for me to have all the time, since I still have young kids, I just don't bring it out all the time. I'm bringing the Q. And for me, at my stage of life, what I'm shooting with the Q, I've got a family, that's what I'm bringing. And for the price of that camera, the I'm just not using anymore. So why am I giving you this information to help understand why I'm even trying this Hasselblad out, and why now when they have a new one coming out? Well, why now is because I've always been looking around at used prices for this. This is back when I thought I would like the camera. When I tried it out, I was like, Now I gave this another go with these lenses, and this is a used X2D. They still have the film still on here, so got a really great deal on this. And I have an option to go ahead and return it. I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to trade in my the M11. That's probably what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to use this camera for is primarily my personal work. Now, will I start bleeding into maybe doing this for, I don't know. I'm going to give this a go and see how this works for portraits, but it doesn't mean I'm getting rid of my SL3S because there's projects that's going to be the best tool to use, especially low light situations, fast moving. I can still use that for sports as long as it's not professionally or whatnot. I can use that for families when we got kids. I just still love that camera, and the autofocus on there right now is where it's at. It's amazing. You got continuous autofocus. I need that. I need that for a lot of shoots, especially if I'm doing events or shooting outside and doing some lifestyle. And I want to shoot in motion and get hair flipping and that kind of stuff. There's certain situations where I just need to have that the way I shoot. In studio, when you have the light to stop the motion, this is amazing. And then for landscapes, I'm going to be going out this weekend and really kind of flexing this thing and seeing what the images look like for some print work that I want to have done for myself and also for others to sell. So I'm going to give that a shot. Another thing that just kind of blows me away so far, just first impressions on this, is how compact these lenses are. This is the 38. Now, speaking of things I don't like, and these lens hoods, they are really tough to get on and off. Like you have to really, the tolerance is so small, you really have to get it perfectly right. So that's one thing I'm not a fan of. But I literally was coming down from upstairs from my office to shoot this video, and I was bringing the camera, and I stuck this in my jeans pocket right now because I didn't want to be carrying too many things in I fit this in my jeans. Not something I would do for long term, but this is how small this 38V is. That's amazing. So to go ahead and just have this and one other lens, whether it be the 38 or the 90 in a sling, and just be out and about, shooting landscapes or, just exploring the beach and doing some local work like that. It's pretty nice. I do find myself, if I'm shooting landscapes, the little that I have played with this, is I enjoy shooting this in manual. I'll just go ahead and move the clutch on these V lenses, throw it into manual and shoot that way, especially for landscapes and non-moving objects. I've shot a couple of product shots with this, just here at the house. Maybe I'll throw one or two of those in here when I show the images from the studio shoot. But okay, this video is already way longer than I wanted to make it. But that's my first impressions right now. Just letting you know, I think I'm gonna keep this thing. Concerns I have. Concerns I have is the fact that Hasselblad is now owned by DJI. I've got concerns about the build quality and whether it will continue going forward. I don't have those concerns with Leica. How things are going to be affected, prices and stuff going forward with the whole tear situation. I'm just as clueless as everyone else. We'll see. These lenses are made in Japan while the body is made in Sweden. I know I'm not as familiar with Hasselblad as I am Leica, so I'm pretty new to the whole Hasselblad world. But the build quality on these, the way they focus is amazing. One of the things I didn't like about the 80 1.9 and the 45, is 45, 40? I'm not sure, is that the elements moved, you know, and it was just very noisy. It just didn't feel good. These lenses changed the way this X2D feels completely. It's like a whole different world. Super silent, much more cohesive. Obviously they were struggling to get some of these. I know the 90 took a while for people to have in stock. The 38 and the 55 were ready a little bit earlier. It's a totally different experience with these lenses. So that's all I can say. If you've tried the X2D and you weren't really satisfied with it before, and you want to save money, then don't try this thing with the new lenses. It's a totally different experience, and yeah, and I enjoy it. I don't know. We'll see. The images from here, the colors. I wasn't as blown away in the landscape shots I've taken, but the studio shots, that's the first time where I've had this camera. And yeah, you got 100 megapixels, so I get it. You can zoom in and whatnot. But it wasn't until I used this thing in studio and I was like, wow. Wow. Maybe I'm harder to impress. I don't know. But that to me was amazing, is the skin tones and whatnot. So I want to check this out. I want to see if I notice a difference in the landscape. I think for me, if I'm comparing this thing to when I would take out my M, I think I'm not worried about this thing as much in terms of having it in a sling. I'm not worried about the weather so much. I don't know why they don't offer an IP certification on this like they do with the Leica SL and Q. I don't know. Those are the things that kind of like the lack of transparency with Hasselblad. I don't know. But we'll see. This video is way too long. I did not want this to be this long. All right. I'm going to cut out some of this. All right. Peace.